That's right, a guy is finally back to work on my LS swapped square body crew cab. Tonight I'm going to be installing this beautiful chrome and billet front runner kit from Vintage Air. I mean, it's got everything. Let's get started. I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering, well, what happened with this truck anyway? Why'd you stop working on it and it should have been done by now? Yep, basically. Long time ago, I had mentioned for you guys that have been around for a while, I was just feeling really rushed with the project. We were always last minute thrashing on it, trying to get it ready for power tour or something else. And I just felt like I wasn't doing the build justice because I always do everything on a budget or hack this or hack that or do it as fast as possible and cheap as possible. And the intentions with this truck is to haul my family around, my wife and kids, and take it to shows and pull cars to shows and do things like that. So I really do want it to be done correctly, be safe, and also have some nice parts in it. So I wanted to just pump the brakes, pan it up there for a little bit until I felt like I had the time to invest to do it correctly. I think I'm finally ready to start chewing on this thing a little bit more, you know. And again, that leads me to the Vintage Air front runner kit. Now I could have went to the junkyard and cobbled this together and got that used and did this and made that work and whatever else, but I don't want to cut a bunch of corners. So I ran into the front runner kit from Vintage Air. As you guys know, we've got the Vintage Air in the cab already. And this kit is not only absolutely gorgeous, made in the USA, but I know it's going to perform very, very well. Let me show you this thing real quick. So this is a complete kit here. It comes with everything you see on this table, and you can get them with or without the power steering, by the way. This comes neatly packed in one big box, but of course I had to rip and tear that apart and look everything over. And I went with the billet and chrome, and you could see how nice these pieces are. They're a little dirty from laying around for a while, but I think this is going to look really nice. Even comes with a new super damper, all the bolts, hardware, even got a charging whirler cable kit, the belt, I mean everything. So this is really going to simplify things for me. Just bolt her up, follow the instructions, and it's going to really put that into overdrive. From that point we could start putting the intake and things like that on, and it's really going to start looking like a complete engine. I wanted to back up here and show you how I got this pulley off, maybe save you a little money and some frustration there. They make special pullers for these for LS, I guess. I don't know much about these at all, but grab these jaws right here, and then they got a long extension that goes into the crank there so you can pull that off. Well, all I did was use the bolt, ram that in a little bit, use just a basic small 3-jaw pulley pinned up against that. You can actually see the mark. Pulled it out as far as I could, loosened this up a little bit, pulled it out a little more. Then I just ran a basic socket extension, which that 3-jaw pulley sits perfectly in here, and it pulled it the rest of the way off like that. So that seemed to work just fine. Now I am going to use just this universal puller installer to put the new one on, because this is the one that they call for. It's going to cup that front better and drive that flush, and then we'll put our crank bolt back in. These are one-time use, by the way, fellers. This is a new one here, so we'll be using that, torculating on it and whatnot. So that's where we're going to start. Let's get this super damper put on. There's a little bit of prep work we got to do before we start slamming parts together here, both on the torque twister and the new damper here. This damper has a keyway in it, but we don't have a keyway set up over here on the LS, so I'm going to run some high temperature silicone through here and get that basically filled up, so when we do put this on, we don't have oil working its way through this and then out the front bolt there. So I'll do that in a minute, and we'll let that tack up. The other thing that I'm doing here is taking some 1500 grit sandpaper, and I don't know, I'm just using some spray away or whatever you want to use for a cleaner. I'm just cleaning up this crank a little bit. This engine is a fresh rebuild, but as you guys know, it's been laying around for a long, long time. And this thing is actually pretty dirty. And then lastly, before I press that on, I'm gonna put some anti-seize on here as well. That way, if a guy needs to, can we at least, get this back off? That would be nice. Once this dries up a little bit, I'll run that sandpaper through there as well and just clean it up just a little bit. And speaking about running some sandpaper through there, if you've got an aftermarket crank, you might want to put a dial indicator on it. And they have a list of tolerances that come with that. You might have to use a small brake hone and hone this out just a tickle so it slides on. But with the stock crank, I'm guessing like any other, it should slide right on. There's a separate set of instructions here that show you how to put together the damper. Some come in 3 pieces, some come in 2, I guess, depending on your vehicle and applications and whatnot. Fun fact, these are NHRA, IHRA, and NASCAR accepted. So, this is like bolting on another, 8 million horsepower? Accurate. I'm using the old bolt right now to slowly draw this damper on just a little ways. And then as soon as my threads reach with my installer there, I'll put that one on because I just feel a lot safer not risking stripping the threads out and the torque twister there. How that one works is it threads in and bottoms out, and then you have a nut that draws it in from the outside here. Let's see if that's far enough. Maybe, I don't know. Find out, I guess. Per the constructions here, some of this assembly is just easier on a bench or table before you get it on the unit here. Starting with these 2 pipe plugs, go down here. Then I got this block off kit with the O-rings and bolt that are gonna go in right over there. Need some Teflon tape. Yeah. Click, click. Oh yeah, she's dialed. Sounds like a Christmas ornament box on the table there. I kind of like it. Click. Oh yeah, that one's good too. O-ringage. Okay. Yeah. I think that's over torqued. Perfect. Next is the power steering pump pulley here. And if you don't have an installer tool, a lot of these newer style pumps and aftermarket pumps, it's actually threaded on the inside. So I just took a 3/8 bolt, lubed up a couple washers, threw them down, and just used the bolt to walk this down. Something to pay attention to is this pulley does have a front and rear. So make sure you get that, right. And then we just bring her over here, bolt her up. I'll be dipped. I just realized all of this nice hardware here, this 12-point hardware, is actually ARP stuff. Good quality. This poor engine used to be so nice looking. Got to clean all this up, of course, with a cheek poker, get in there and just whirl on it. Also, I'll take a flap disc. I test fitted it and see where it's just barely touching the timing cover there. And they mentioned that in the instructions. You might just have to zip, just take her easy and just whoop, take off just a scooch there. Throw the gaskets in. It comes with studs, 3 on this side, 2 on this side, and we'll get it mounted up. I got this cleaned up pretty decent, but the threads are in pretty rough shape. I'm gonna run a thread repair kit on these and clean these up a little bit before I run those studs in there. A little juice, you know, never hurt nothing. Threads chased, studs are in. Of course I had the that was really bothering me down in there where it was chipping off. I think we're ready to go ahead and slide this unit on. Just gotta get the gaskets out and get those on quick. Here we go. Yep. Nice, and if you're wondering, this one over here doesn't have a stud because the bolt goes in that way. These need to protrude 5.08 inches, according to the instructions. I just gotta torque them on in there, you know what I mean? Find these nuts quick, get that bolt in. It's on. Starting to look like an engine, actually. Somehow lost a nut already, so I'm gonna have to order another one. I want them to match. I don't have a lot of this fancy 12-point stuff laying around, but I left it on this one here. Should be able to get in there when we're finished and knock that on quick. Crank pulleys next. By the way, I haven't put the thermostat in yet, which they recommend doing, you know, off the rig, because I'm going to pick up a chrome water neck instead of the cast one. Charger whirlers next here. It's nice detail on the front there. Next is the AC compressor here. Wow. I'm not quite sure where this wire needs to be. I'm gonna send it out the back though. Easy fix if I gotta move it, I guess. There's a chrome cover for this. Get on. Yeah. Where did the go? You know. Of course, the water whirler pulley here. This is coming along great and looking really good. Normally, shiny stuff scares a guy, but this is blending in with the pipe elaters, and then I think I got a shiny Valley covered tray thing up there that does stuff. Before we put the belt on and the cover over here, I got to put a fitting, it's more of a line on for the power steering over here. I should have done it when this was off. Dang it. But nonetheless, it's got to be done. It actually goes in here with like a banjo bolt, sneaks around back, comes around, and then comes down to here. And then this is where I'm going to have to make a connection to come back up here. And then this will swing around like that. Of course, I'm going to be replacing this and probably have a line made for the high pressure side on that. Take care of that. I actually had a really difficult time finding this special fitting that goes into these pumps for independence. It took a lot of calling around and interweb-lazing and researching before I finally found something. This one is really nice because it goes around the back here. really clean stuff up. There we go. And this is actually the same pump I want to run on Independence too when I change it out. I'm having so many issues with the other one. And then I'll have the reservoir right on the pump here instead of dealing with that Mickey Mouse one up by the radiator that's always leaking on us and causing issues. See if I can get this snake belt figured out here. I'm gonna start here. Bring her up around the tensioner. If I can. Yes, there we go. And then let's see, I must drop down there. This swings under there. That comes over here. Well, just stay put. Okay. All right, now I just need to give her some ranch. Probably like 2 onions. Yeah. She's taut. Yeah. Yep. Boy, I don't want that puppy slipping. There we go. Last little step here is this chrome cover for the tensioner upper. Maybe down, I don't know what you got going on. Well, there we have it, Vintage Air front runner kit. I know it looks like a lot going on, but the installation was actually really straightforward. I know this is a shorter video, but don't worry, there's a lot more crew cab coming. You know what they say, how do you eat an elephant? You hire a good chef or whatever. We're just gonna keep taking bites out of this thing. Coming up next, valley cover, valve covers, intake, maybe even injectors. We'll see how crazy it gets. Thanks guys for watching, appreciate it very much. We'll see you next time.